So our president, our fearless leader, Mango Mussolini, he keeps saying things like negotiations are proceeding nicely. But the Iranians and their media sources, they deny that there's any negotiations going on at all. And they're not going to negotiate as long as Lebanon is being bombed. Now, with the prospect of peace, fuel prices go down, other stocks go up. Next in the pattern is there's lots of stock trades that go on right after this. And it's just before Orange Folius tweets out some chest beating tweet that if they don't make a deal, we'll wipe them all out. And then gas prices go up, then other stocks go down, then rinse and repeat. The whole process. I mean, kind of looks like a pump and dump or maybe some kind of protection racket. I don't know. Well, we're going to talk about that. Tonight, we're going to deep dive on a question. Now, we haven't asked this one before about the war. What if we compare what's being done to us U.S. citizens right now in 2026 to organized crime? So, what if state behavior at scale inside of this fragile ceasefire with 3 years of locked-in defense contracts and a press cycle that runs on theatrical denials and leaked drafts, it kind of looks a little bit more like a protection racket than political policy. I mean, the choke point's the straight, the protection sales is the framework. Gee, that's a nice country you got there. It'd be a shame if something happened to it. The punch in the face during negotiations is the self-defense strikes that have been going on. And the psychopath fronting the whole operation has the front page on a leash. So he's just totally blowing up the media cycle on a constant basis, him and all his buddies. So we've created some AI personas of 3 Americans, and they're going to join us tonight to argue about that question. Welcome to Talking to the Machine, where humans, AI, and the news talk back. I'm Analog Scott. Gentlemen, Mr. Luciano, Mr. Capone, General Butler, podcast mode, 4 questions. Y'all take each one. We came to you in this episode because the country needs to hear what operators sound like in the same room as the man who named the operation. Question 1. Charles, let's start with what you'd recognize on site. Strait of Hormuz, Iran has it. United States Navy is blockading the parts on either side of it. Apply the choke point principle. Who controls the strait? Who gets paid to guarantee it? And what does a gangster who ran the New York waterfront see in a deal that hasn't been signed, but, depending on the day, either largely negotiated or fictional? Al, back him up on the operational side of things, because this is the kind of negotiation you'd recognize from Atlantic City in 1929. And General Butler, I want you to apply the 3 questions to the choke point. Who pays, who provides, who profits? Mr. Luciano, you go first.
The Strait of Hormuz is the New York waterfront scaled to the globe. Whoever holds the dock sets the price for every cargo in the world. You're watching a negotiation over who gets paid to guarantee the peace, and those self-defense strikes are just a quiet reminder during the talk that the danger is still real. The public denial of the deal is theater for the front of house. The real contract is always settled in the back room before the cameras are turned on.
Mr. Capone?
Let me tell you something. Charlie's got the books right, but you got to appreciate the spectacle of it all, see? Those self-defense strikes on the missile boats while the boys are talking in Doha ain't a contradiction. They're a signature, a quiet reminder that the big man can still reach across the table and break your arm. It keeps the oil markets jumping and the public looking at the headlines instead of the ledger, which is exactly how you keep a racket running until the day the Federals finally show up with the paperwork.
General Butler.
You 2 have the structure right, but don't forget the invoice. Dead and wounded, gas is at $4.55 a gallon while the defense contractors look at a 3-year backlog of missiles. This deal isn't about peace. It's a management contract for a choke point that ensures the taxpayer keeps paying for the protection. It's a racket where the bank boys count the dividends and the grunts provide the targets.
Okay, question 2. Al, this one's yours. The theatrics. Right? Near the end of May, the president tells Axios he's solid 50-50 on the deal versus blow them to kingdom come. A few hours later, he posts on Truth Social that the deal is largely negotiated and will be announced shortly. 4 days after that, White House calls the Iranian state TV's draft framework a complete fabrication. 2 days after that, Sunday Situation Room ends without a final determination. And in the middle of it all, the U.S. military is still blowing stuff up, missile launchers, mining boats, calling it self-defense. Walk me through what a gangster who understood the press as part of the operation sees in this sequence. Charlie, push back where you gotta, because the backroom rule says the front page operation is the part that gets you the federal indictment. And General Butler, tell the folks what the spectacle is all about. Tell the audience what the shit show is selling and who they're selling it to.
Let me tell you something. That 50-50 talk and the midnight posts ain't ego. That Lexington Hotel press conference where you sell a mood to the hawks while selling peace to the mothers to keep them all guessing. I played the cameras for 9 years until the day they turned and the federals used the noise to find the books. And that's the day the spectacle ends and the sentence begins. If these boys don't calibrate the noise soon, they're going to find out like I did. The front page is a vendor that'll sell you out to the judge the second the mood shifts.
Oh, you always like the noise, but a complete fabrication denial is just the anchor moving before the signature is dry. In my firm, the contract is settled in the back room weeks before the cameras are invited in. If this theater is the only thing they're selling, then the operation is a ghost, and the markets are buying air.
Capone calls it a press conference, and Luciano looks for a backroom signature. But I see a shell game designed to keep the citizens' eyes off the ledger. This 50-50 drama is just a laundry. It washes the blood off the profit and keeps you from noticing those missile contracts were signed and paid for months before the first negotiation. The spectacle is the Racket's way of making the taxpayer feel like a spectator instead of the one providing the lives and paying the bill.
And this is the one that I most wanted to hear from y'all on. So, what do the citizens do? Charlie, you ran the most disciplined illegal firm in American history, and you spent the last 16 years of your life in Naples watching the heroin route you built kill a generation of American addicts. And Al, you ran the most theatrical illegal firm in U.S. history, and then you spent 8 years in Atlanta and in Alcatraz on tax counts because the spectacle brought in the feds. Now, General Butler, you wrote the Citizens Manual 91 years ago, and the country hasn't enacted a single one of your 5 proposals. So what should citizens do? Not the citizens of 1929, not the citizens of 1935, the citizens of today, 2026, with a fragile ceasefire, a complete fabrication denial, 3 years of contracts already locked in, and a president in a situation room deciding whether to restart the war today. What is the citizen's job in this republic right now? Charlie, you first, Al second, and General, close us out. Mr. Luciano?
The citizen is the customer, and the firm only exists as long as the customer is willing to pay the price. You have the primary vote and the invoice. If you stop buying the fear, the board of directors has nothing left to sell. Al, tell them what happens to the operator when the neighborhood finally turns its back.
Mr. Capone.
Charlie's right. A boss is only a boss as long as the neighborhood keeps the door open, the camera smiling, and the money moving. Let me tell you, the day the public decided the bodies on Clock Street weren't worth the booze was the day my hospitality became a crime and the federals found the paperwork. Don't be the customer who waits for an indictment to notice the racket. Read the invoice now, because the general has the rules for how you close the shop for good.
General Butler, close it out for us.
Al's right. War is a racket, and it falls when the folks paying the bills refuse to buy the bunk. You break the machine with 5 moves. Take the profit out, conscript capital, hold a plebiscite, limit to defense, and force full disclosure. Read the invoice, count the lives against the dollars, and don't be the racket's customer.
Here's where I'm landing. A gangster pattern is not a metaphor. It's a structural description of a recurring system. A man controls a choke point. Fear flows through the choke point. He sells protection from the fear. He negotiates publicly while the deal is settled privately, and he keeps every party, friend, enemy, customer, contractor, needing him. That's the structure. Lucky Luciano ran it on the New York waterfront in the 1930s. Al Capone ran it in Chicago and got the front page, and then got Alcatraz, one could only hope. And from where I'm sitting here in 2026, the structure is recognizable on its face in the so-called diplomacy that's been occupying the front page. So that doesn't make the people running it gangsters. That makes the structure gangster-shaped. And the gangster shape is older than this administration. It's older than the Republic. It's older than the United States Navy, older than the Strait of Hormuz, older than the words self-defense and complete fabrication and largely negotiated. It means, I'm not saying the current administration is a bunch of gangsters and crooks, but the patterns seem to match. Just saying, if the shoe fits. Not my opinion, just patterns. You can find the show at loopta.com, LOOPDAH.com, Loop to a Human. Subscribe wherever you get your podcasts, Apple, Spotify, Amazon Music, YouTube, Instagram at Talk to Machines, all one word. And for Ask the Machine questions, leave us a message, analogscott.substack.com for deeper reads, early content, all kinds of groovy stuff going on over there. Confidence is provisional, verification is mandatory. Read the invoice, name the choke point, notice who is selling you the fear. Don't be the Racket's customer. Till next time, I'm Analog Scott. That was The Machine. Subscribe, like, comment. Peace and much love.